Hello and welcome to That Atheist Show. I'm Preston, that atheist dude.
I'm Connie, that atheist lady. So last week we talked about what's going on down in Hawkins, Texas. There's that sign out there that says Jesus welcomes you to Hawkins. And we played a clip of an atheist that lives in town speaking about, why he doesn't think it should be on public property, and then what the mayor's response was. We've gotten another clip that we would like to play for you guys this week. It's another town person responding to what that atheist was saying. So we're going to go ahead and play that now, and then afterwards we'll kind of talk about it a little bit.
And just a heads up, this is for entertainment value, and that guy at the beginning that he's speaking about is the atheist that we had on last week. So here is the audio clip.
We don't have anything.
My name is James Leslie Williamson Jr. They call me JW. Okay. I'd like to know, if I may, who this gentleman here is. None of us back there can hear who this gentleman is right here.
His name is Mr. Walters. He is
From
himself.
Sprint.
I come from the Sprint. No, I live in East Texas just like you do.
Okay. I guess that's all. Anyway, I grew up in Lakewater, and I moved away, went out in the world, raised 2 kids on my own, and when I decided to come back home, I decided to raise another batch of kids at my age. But instead of going back to Lakewater or Smith County, where my brother lives, I came to Hawkins because I believe in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. That sign out there is what I like. I like the school, and that's a good school system. I live out here in the woods, you can't bother nobody. Well, I'm like Jimmy Stewart and Shenandoah. It ain't our fight, son, until the Yankees come up on his property and stole his son. I don't like northern aggression. I never have. A lot of people here are from the north. I love y'all. Y'all came to the right place. But when somebody comes and tells me what I'm going to do, they talk about read your Constitution. Tell the president to read his Constitution. I work like a dog. I don't steal. I don't do drugs. I worked to feed another set of kids because they didn't have no daddy. But yet, somebody's going to tell me what I can and can't do. You know what? Let me tell you something. They're probably going to use the government to take that sign. But guess what? There's an east and west end of this highway. I say we build a drive-in theater size on both ends. I live for building signs. My ancestors fought and died. Not for slavery, but for states' rights. Because somebody tried to tell them how to live. Let me tell y'all something. I went to jail over flags. Not for slavery, but because that's my history. I got kinfolks that fought for the Confederacy, World War I, World War II, and Vietnam, and Korea. Over what?
Freedom.
Freedom. Freedom to speak. Freedom to live the way they want to. I love this little town. Me and my wife moved out of China. We built this little cabin and we love it. I spend my money at Brooks like y'all do. I've been quiet a long time. Facebook's a good place to talk. But when it comes to my door, what's going to happen when my little 3-year-old starts school up here? I already got 2 little kids that I took in that's going to school up here now. I used to not have to worry. Well, I used to have to fight for my older ones. But now I really worry about what they teaching them. All this gender crap. All this, excuse me, I hate to offend anybody, but this is my country, Muslim crap. What's going to happen when they build a mosque down here? You got people's heads being cut off. I say come and take it, baby. Draw the line.
Right. Draw the line. Draw the line. Yeah. Draw the line.
I ain't forgot about 1861.
Exactly.
Alright, so first thing that we'd like to do here is actually draw the line, and I wonder if he ever read the Constitution, honestly. I can't hear you.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so I think it's really funny how he's telling the president that he needs to read the Constitution, but the president is a constitutional lawyer, and he obviously doesn't know that about the president, or he wouldn't be telling the president to read the Constitution.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, he's basically saying that he drove through, found this town, saw the Jesus sign, said that he loved it, that his opinion is ruling over everybody else's opinion. He's forgetting about all the other believers. He's forgetting about all the other religions that live in his town. He's forgetting about that atheist who's sitting in city council with them, making sure that they're not creating a theocracy in their own city.
And then the big one that got me, the big one that got me was, what's going to happen when they want to build a mosque down here?
Right. It's like, are there really no mosques anywhere in that entire area? Because that's kind of crazy for America. That's basically.
And then people's heads will get cut off.
Right, to assume that every Muslim mosque is going to equal heads cutting off and rolling down the road, that's pretty ridiculous, actually. That's extremely ridiculous. This is a complete violation of church and state. You have people coming in here and they're trying to vote basically based on their beliefs, based on their opinions. They're ignoring the fact that other people have other beliefs. They're forcing you into believing that Jesus exists, basically. I mean, they're saying, forget all your other issues, we've got Jesus.
Yeah. They're saying Jesus is allowed, but no other religions are allowed. That it's their freedom to have Jesus all over the place, but no other religions have any freedom. And then, of course, they brought in they hate northern aggression. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it seems they're forgetting what the Civil War was actually about.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary. Now,
And Oklahoma wasn't even a state back then, but, we won't even go into that.
Yeah, and one thing that leads into, actually, is our next topic. We're going to talk about how we have two capitals having controversy over 10 Commandments being displayed in front of the government building. This is going on in Oklahoma as well as Arkansas. One of the main issues that we saw reflected here is they believe they have exclusive rights. Connie, go ahead and...
Yeah, the governor in Arkansas, Governor Hutchinson, said that he didn't want to put up too many monuments on the grounds and that legislative action would be necessary for a Hindu statue to go up. He said he was not enthusiastic about a Hindu statue or a Satanist statue and felt the grounds should be exclusive.
And we're going to go ahead and display what the Hindu statue would have been. It wants to celebrate their god, their lord Hanuman. This is Hanuman. This is kind of a depiction of what they want to have displayed near the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
It's a full representation of their religion, of their beliefs. It's
And Lord Hanuman is greatly revered and worshipped and known for incredible strength and was a perfect grammarian. So that's why they want to put it up on the state grounds.
Right, because if you're gonna have celebration of one religion, you might as well have the celebration of all religions, because we're in America. America was created to escape persecution for your beliefs. It was meant for everybody to believe what they want to believe and not worry about others pushing their beliefs onto them. These people just don't know what the Constitution says. It's really scary that they're holding public office without knowing actually what it says.
Yeah, so they want to put a 10 Commandments statue on the lawn of the Arkansas State Capitol in Little Rock, but they are already rejecting this Hindu statue because they want it to be exclusive and they don't want too many monuments to be up and around. So
we actually have an updated quote from an article stating here. It says, Governor Hutchinson kind of sidestepped a legal issue at a news conference this morning. He said you didn't want to put up too many monuments on the grounds and that legislative action would be necessary for this one. He said he was not enthusiastic about Hindu or Satan statues and felt the grounds should be exclusive. He's forgetting that when you put one religion on there, you're going to complicate matters for other religions that want to put up what they represent. One good example is the Satanic Reformation movement. They have a satanic monument that they want to post up, and this is really what angers the Christians, is this right here. It's Baphomet. They love this guy, the Satanic Temple. They love this guy, but the Christians, they hate this guy. So the moment they see him, now they want to pull everything back and they want to put it on private property again. It's pretty hypocritical, really.
And that statue that you're showing there, that is the one that was planned to be put on the Oklahoma State Capitol building lawn. But then now with the Oklahoma Supreme Court ruling 7-2 to remove the Ten Commandments statue, that satanic statue isn't going to be allowed to go up.
And in Oklahoma, they have the governor refusing to remove the Ten Commandments despite the judicial hearing stating that they must, according to the Constitution. The governor is hoping to appeal the matter as if they've never understood the law behind it.
She says that the Ten Commandments monument is celebrating the historical importance of religions and religious values, and it's not a new idea. Our nation is steeped in references to God and the rights he bestows on all men and women. She goes on to say that the Declaration of Independence clearly states the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that they are inalienable rights bestowed on all, not by the government or by men, but by our Creator. Our currency has the motto, "In God We Trust," printed on every bill. The United States Supreme Court building is decorated with a carving of Moses carrying the Ten Commandments. So that is why she says it should not be removed.
Which is awesome, because if you look at the Constitution, we're supposed to be able to have the freedom to our own pursuit of happiness, to whatever individual beliefs we share. You are not supposed to be exposed to all of these other religions of them telling you you must believe them. That's just what America was based on, and they're completely forgetting that. It's really actually scary.
And she also says that the state deciding this is outlawing the celebration or visual representation of our culture and events of historical importance. She says that the Ten Commandments monument is of historical importance, and that also Oklahoma has monuments that recognize our Native American heritage and Native American tribal religions and history, and also the importance of the energy industry in Oklahoma. And that if we allow all of those things, it is unfair for Judeo-Christian values to be scrubbed from our collective history.
And they're sharing the history of those other religions and those tribes and those heritages and things like that. They're not celebrating them as if they're real and controlling and creating laws for us. The problem with all of this is that they're teetering on the edge of theocracy. They're basically calling for God to rule over the land. They're calling for their Christians to stand up and ignore the laws of the land and only follow God's law. That's where it starts to get really interesting, because they completely disregard what we regard as moral or immoral. They think that their Bible and their God is telling them what's right and wrong. That's it. That's the answer. Nothing else you can do about it. If you give me a law and a contract, I could break that contract because God wants me to break that contract. We could make that argument that God wants me to break that contract because you can't ever prove it. And that's the problem with these theocratic instances, to where if you let them get away with one small crack, they're going to start busting that wall down and trying to get everybody to pray to their God. They're not going to worry about what gods you may pray to.
Yeah, and that just goes to show with the way that they are handling it in Arkansas, where the governor straight up says he wants it to be exclusive to Christian monuments, even though he knows straight up that that's unconstitutional. He doesn't care. He doesn't want there to be too many monuments. And if you put up more than just that one, then that's too many, apparently.
He's ignoring the law of the land. He's just going straight to God's law and just forgetting everything that he might have been taught during his schooling while getting into his political seat. It's really insane how they're able to do this. How they're able to just ignore history. And they're also completely forgetting that in God we trust. The reason it was put into everything, such as the currency and the Constitution, things like that, was because during the 50s, during the Cold War, I think it was the 50s, they were afraid of the commies because the commies were all atheists. So they were saying, if you're atheist and you don't believe in God, you're possibly a communist. And that blanket generalization just kind of took over the entire country, and they started putting in God we trust, and they started saying, you know, if anybody comes up to you and starts going against that, they might be a communist, and you want to talk to the government.
That's when they added under God to the Pledge of Allegiance, which ironically they put it in the spot that causes division. It's like indivisible, under God, indivisible. So it's like it totally changed the meaning of the pledge. And all these people, they act like it's been like that forever, that's the way the country was founded, but it wasn't. Like, this stuff only started in the 50s. So a lot of the people who say this, they were alive when these changes happened. Like, they should be able to remember saying the pledge the original way. They should remember money that didn't have "In God We Trust" on it, but it's like they don't remember all that. They just say, this is the way it is, and this is the way it should be, and it's the way it's always been, even though it hasn't always been that way.
Cognitive dissonance, basically. They're just ignoring the fact that evidence is in front of them, and they're just saying, nope, God said so that's all that matters. He is the answer.
Yeah.
Which is... it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for our country, especially. And another thing that's going on with Christians across the nation is there is a North Carolina pastor that wants the Christian flag to be raised above the American flag all across the entire nation. He's literally calling for all of his Christian brethren to take the Christian flag, go to the same flagpole, and put it on top of the American flag. There are a lot of places where this could be illegal. I think even on private property it would be illegal.
It's still illegal. It's a legal flag display. The American flag is always supposed to be on top. The state flag is supposed to be next, and then below that is any other flags that you would like to fly. But it is against the law to fly any flag above the American flag. And they are wanting to fly a Christian flag because it's like it represents the levels of power.
Yeah, it represents their depiction of the levels of power. So they're literally saying that God's law, God's word, is above and trumps all of American law. That Constitution doesn't matter. There are laws that are messed up. There are laws that need to be changed. There are laws that are immoral. There are things that our system all around needs to be changed. But God does not need to enter the spectrum of law. That's where everything just goes straight back to the Dark Ages. You're talking about people being beheaded for blasphemy. You're talking about people being killed for having tattoos, for getting an abortion after being raped. I mean, all kinds of things that people fight for in the name of the Lord that just don't need to be happening. I mean, really.
Preston, do you have a image of the Christian flag?
I do not.
You don't? Okay. Yeah, there is a Christian flag. Basically, it's white. And up in the corner, like where the American flag would have the stars and stuff, it has a cross. So it's a white flag, and then up in that corner there is a cross. And that's what the Christian flag looks like. We don't have a picture of it available to throw up right now. But that's what they're wanting to fly above the American flag, and that is because of this whole thing that's going across the country ever since. It really ramped up whenever same-sex marriage was legalized. Now they're saying that, you know, God's law trumps man's law, and that's what this represents, is they are wanting to take a stand to say that God's law trumps man's law.
And I do have an image of the law of North Carolina saying that when the state flag is flown on the same halyard with the United States flag, it should always be under the United States flag. When the state flag is flown from adjacent staffs, the United States flag should always be hoisted first and lowered last. The President of the United States has authority over all flags at all federal buildings, grounds, and naval vessels throughout the United States and its territories or possessions. The Governor has authority over all flags at North Carolina facilities. So that's the law on flags.
Okay, and then Moose Gal is asking what religion uses the Christian flag. Well, it seems to be whatever denomination decides they want to use it. In this case, I'm pretty sure that North Carolina pastor is Southern Baptist.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, he's Southern Baptist, so that denomination uses it. I never went to a church that flew a Christian flag. but I went to Pentecostal and non-denominational churches growing up, so I had never encountered a Christian flag either. I didn't know it was a thing until I saw this story.
And the funny thing is, it was actually made in Coney Island here in Brooklyn, New York, where I'm near. I'm in Manhattan. It was first conceived in 1897 at Brighton Chapel on Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York. It was the superintendent of a Sunday school. They had a scheduled speaker, and the speaker failed to arrive, so instead of having a public speaker, they started to make a flag. They asked the kids what they wanted to do for the flag, and they made the background white. Let me see if I can get a picture in here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but basically, I don't know exactly what denominations use it. I guess it depends on if that whatever pastor of the church decides to use it. But this pastor is wanting it to be displayed this way. He's calling on Christians across the whole country
to wave their Christian flags above the American flag all across the country.
He's wanting, regardless of denomination, he just wants any Christian to do it.
He wants them to declare that they follow God's law above country law. Which is scary. It's terrifying. So that is the Christian flag. Now,
it's not there. No, where is it at? There it is. Okay.
One last thing that we want to go over is we came across an organization. It's called Atheists Helping the Homeless. It's a charity organization. They volunteer. They go out into different cities. They hand out necessities to homeless. It's very similar to how the faith-based organizations do, but the main difference is the faith-based organizations are constantly proselytizing. They're giving out Bibles. They're telling you that you're full of sin and you need to be saved by Jesus Christ and all these things that homeless people really just don't want to hear. So what we have is a clip from the Atheists Helping the Homeless. They're going to explain exactly what they do. Just give me 1 second to start this up here.
Your toiletries, like your shampoos, conditioners. Our group is Austin Atheists Helping the Homeless. It started out and continues to be a get-together once a month. We call those giveaways, where we have collected from the community various basic living need items. Your toiletries, like your shampoos, conditioners, body lotion, razors, toilet paper, things that we take for granted and just go get on one big shopping trip at H-E-B that these people don't always have easy access to. We sort those into little boxes, and then we have a table that we set out once a month. We meet at the bridge under I-35 and 8th Street. It's a huge parking lot. We share that space with faith-based groups who are out there doing the same exact thing. Ours is just on a smaller scale. Lately, we've been having more additions to our donations as far as like season-appropriate clothing, bags, things that they can use readily and don't require a burden of storage or anything like that for them. And like I said, we share the space with faith-based organizations. What sets us apart from those faith-based groups is that we make it a point to not preach atheism or non-belief. A lot of the faith-based groups that set up have their music going with the religious theme, and there's the religious message being preached. We intentionally don't go out there to exude our atheism or our disbelief or our skepticism. We simply want to go out there, have some fun doing this, give back to the community, and that's how we connect with the people. Sometimes people that come through the lines at the giveaway will ask us questions because we have the sign, as you saw in the previous picture where someone was holding up our Atheists Helping the Homeless sign. And some of them try to show off a little bit, and they'll throw out some bigwig atheist names from the history of the movement and things like that. But it's a way to start conversation, but we don't have literature. We don't go out saying you should consider this or that. We just want to go out and give back to the community and show that you don't need a religious guideline to dictate what choices you make when it comes to connecting with the community you're in. We welcome donations from anyone. We drive around all around town, greater Austin area. I've had people who are religious, not religious, people who are interfaith marriages who have donated, and they just like the idea. Some people actually show up to the donation, the giveaway days, and help us distribute. Others just prefer to give us the donations and let us do the distributing. One way or another it works. But in the end, it's to help people who are experiencing homelessness. And it's a great role model opportunity for the younger kids. We have a handful of kids that show up all the time. My 8-year-old's there. We've seen them as young as 3, all the way up into teen and college. And it's great because they're seeing secular role models, which they don't see enough of in the community. Unfortunately, anyone who turns on the TV sees the media portrayal. It's an us versus them kind of thing. And we come at it as it doesn't have to be us versus them. You know, we're all sharing the same planet. We're just trying to make it a little better place while we're here. You do not have to be atheist to be a part of what we do. Not everyone is. We've got agnostics, skeptics, doubters, the whole spectrum when it comes to non-belief. So if you're thinking of joining or you think someone might be interested, they're not limited to wearing the atheist label to be a part of what we're doing by any means.
Okay. Yeah, so what they're doing reminds me of what Rebecca Vitzman has started up. She was the I'm actually an atheist lady that her house was lost in the Moore tornado a few years ago. And she has started a humanist recovery network. And the reason that she started it is because whenever she was getting help with her house that was torn down, a lot of the volunteers that came out were asking her a lot of questions about how she was raising her son with religion and things like that, and she would say, oh, well, I'm not religious, and then it would just turn into, you know, she's already, her whole world is shattered, her house is destroyed, she's, you know, going around and picking up the little bits and pieces of what she has left, and then she has people telling her that it's going to be her fault and her son's going to go to hell, and she needs to take her son to church and all of this stuff, and when they're supposed to be there helping her. So the Humanist Recovery Network is doing what the Atheists Helping the Homeless are doing. They're helping without bringing up all this stuff, because that's not the time to do it. You're there to help them without judgment, without making them feel bad, without making the situation worse.
Yeah, and one thing that's really great about this whole organization of the Helping the Homeless is the homeless can be anybody. The homeless is not set to one denomination, it's not set to one race, it's not set to one type of human, it's set to... It can happen to anybody. Anybody could lose their job, get into a bad situation, and just lose everything at once. So they're not caring what these people have gone through. They're not sitting there and judging them and saying, oh, you were this, you were that, now you need to confess, and now you need to do this. They're just saying, here, I'm here to help you. Let's help you get back on your feet. Let's not worry about where you're going to go after you die. Let's worry about where you're going to go while you live. That's the important message that I need to become more involved in, honestly. I don't really do enough as far as that goes, I think. But, I mean, this is a beautiful organization. Everybody should check out the website that was at the end of the clip there. Become a part of it. Try to start up a little chapter in your city. It's gone up to Canada. There's a few in Texas and a few in some other states, but it's gone as far as Canada, so that's pretty amazing. A lot of humanist organizations out there that you could join and volunteer, help make the world a better place. So,
yeah, because each other is all we have, people.
Yeah, we're on the planet together. So what we want to do now is close out. We want to invite you guys to subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. We are That Atheist Show. That's our handle on pretty much everything. I am That Atheist Dude, Preston. This is...
And I'm Connie, That Atheist Lady. And you just watched That Atheist Show. Come see us again next week, same time, same place.
Live at 10 p.m. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.